This Wednesday morning edition of Pucks Across Borders brought to you by none other than First Round Collectibles. What's your sport? Hockey, basketball, football, baseball, maybe wrestling, maybe even boxing. Whatever it is, you can get the sports card related to your favorite sport at firstroundcollectibles.com. And right now, with the promo code Sports Addict, you get 10% off whatever sports card your heart desires. They still have sales items up from the holidays. That's right, the Christmas holidays, up to 50% off. And with our promo code, not only do you get 10% off of regular priced items, but sale items as well. Use the promo code Sports Addict for 10% off sale items and regular priced items. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today and find your heroes. That's the number one, STRoundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins. Can't relax. Original. I am not the same as these cats. I sting them if they never ever.
Good morning and welcome to Wednesday Pucks Across Borders. Good to be here. I think I'm speaking for both of us on this one, Andre. Let's just be transparent before the people. 10:40 puck drops and 10 o'clock puck drops. There's a big difference. I'm feeling the 10:40 grind this morning. I don't know about you. I'll turn it over to you. You read his work about the NFL on Gridiron Heroics, winners and whiners. You see him talk about the NFL, the NBA, college hoops, college football. He talks about it all on Total Apex Sports. Andre, how you feeling on a Wednesday morning, bro? Are you like me? I'm feeling a step behind today, bro.
Yeah, I loved every second of watching Sharks Stars last night. Coupled with, Nuggets Suns went to overtime. That was also a really good game in the NBA. Not loving what it's done to my sleep schedule, but we get through it. We live. It was worth it. So here we are.
Yeah, bro. We fight on. Whenever I see 10:40 on the schedule, I'm just like, dude, I know it's only half an hour because it's 10 o'clock starts are technically 10:10. So I get it, half an hour, but half an hour makes a big difference when you're waking up, bro. Big difference. But I digress. Once again, welcome to Pucks Across Borders on Sports Addict Live, and big shout out to Total Apex Sports. Big night. Again, 9 games in the NHL last night, 52 games all week long. Andre, let's just get right to it, man. What's your takeaway from last night, bro?
It's hilarious how predictable the Bruins have become. Where
Oh my
you're
gosh.
just kind of like, yeah, if they have a lead, they're probably gonna, let the Oilers creep back in and force overtime and then lose. That was our justification, I think, for both of us picking the Oilers money line, but not the 60-minute line, not the puck line. And sure enough, the last few minutes, Oilers got a power play. They didn't score on the power play, but Draisaitl did score with, I want to say, 3 minutes left, maybe 2. Tie game, Oilers win in OT because obviously they have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and you name it. 3-on-3 that supports them beautifully. But Boston was cruising to that President's Trophy, and I know you don't want to hear it. I've been thinking it for a bit. There's a world where they're not second in the Atlantic Conference. I know that's still
Oh,
a
I know.
bit away, but I know you don't want to hear it. I knew I was going to get that. There's a possibility. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, dude, listen, I was listening to Toronto radio last night and the conversation came up, who do you want to see uh in the first round of the playoffs? Is it Florida, Rangers, or Boston? And one guy said Florida just to get it out of the way. And I'm like, dude, you push Florida as far as possible, man. No way. Especially with a market like us who has seen one playoff win. I'm 34 years old, man. Like, I've seen one playoff win since I was in the ninth grade. Like, I'm okay with getting another playoff round and getting but yeah, man. And I mean, what did I say too? To make this about me, what did I say? Vegas sucked. Come in, spank Toronto in Toronto, leave and suck. Boston, not sucking, but not playing great, going to overtime every single night. Come in, beat the Leafs 4-1, then go back home and lose to the Oilers. It's like clockwork, and it paid off for us last night. For myself, and I mean, just to double back on that real quick, the Oilers, man, like, you watch them play hockey and they just don't make a lot of mistakes anymore, man. They're a really, really solid hockey team and they're going to cause problems. They said in the summer it's cup or bust, and I believe it with them, man. They just make really, really smart decisions on the ice, and their goaltending. It's amazing, eh? In this coaching carousel, we talked about it yesterday. It's amazing how great your coaches look and how great you look when you get saves. It's incredible. It's that simple. And if you missed it, go back to yesterday's show and we talk about that in great length. My takeaway last night, man, it was a night of missed opportunities, specifically in the West, but in the East as well. The Devils lose to the Panthers 5-3. Penguins win. They got that one. The Blues not only lose to the Islanders, but they're up 2-0 to the Islanders. The Predators, they are up 2-0 on the Canadians. They end up losing that game 4-3. The Jets are up 3-2 on the Kraken in the third period. They lose 4-3. The Canucks beating the Kings. And the reason why I say it's a night of missed opportunities is you have the Devils who have 64 points. They are 8 points back of Tampa Bay, 8 points back of Detroit, 8 points back of Philly. None of those three teams played last night. The Islanders did play. They won. They're now up to 68 points. Washington did not play. They're stuck at 65. Pittsburgh, like I said, did play. They are up now to 64 points, tied with you. If you're the Devils, you make this coaching change. We talked about this yesterday, man. Who knows? Like, do they think they can make the playoffs? Do they think that they're going to miss it? I don't know what they think right now. That being said, if they do think they can make the playoffs, they missed a big opportunity. I know it's against Florida, man, but you're at home. Florida's on a back-to-back. You get a new coach in the building. He's been your coach, like, behind the bench all year long. You got to find a way to win that game last night. Big missed opportunity for them, because if they want to make it into the playoffs, they don't just have to go on a run, but they got to jump over three teams who are not in the playoffs and one team who is in the playoffs. So they need help in a negative way. They need help. They need teams to lose. And when the only team that they're chasing right now won last night, you got to win that game too. Then you flip over to the West Coast. Dallas and Winnipeg in a battle for first place in the Central Division. Winnipeg, you are up 3-2 in the third period. You blow that game. You lose 4-3. Very good game. Both teams played very well. This is nothing disrespectful to the Kraken. The Kraken deserve to win that game. But if you're the Jets, you know that Dallas is playing the Sharks. Now, at the time, we did not know that the Stars were going to have to climb back from a crazy deficit in the third period, you just assume the Stars are going to get 2 points, which they ended up doing, albeit in very insane fashion. But that doesn't matter. You are tied with the Stars in the first going into that game. You have 3 games in hand. Yes, true. But you needed to win that game because we've talked about this before. I think out of any division in the NHL right now, you want to win that Central Division the most going into the playoffs. You're either playing Colorado or Dallas in that first round if you do not win the division. And I'm not saying that you can't beat Colorado or you can't beat Dallas. I'm just saying that is a dogfight in the first round, to say the least. So I think winning, if Dallas or Winnipeg or Colorado wants to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals, I think you got to win that division because that's going to be a brutal first round, whether you win or lose. Then you go to the rest of the games of the night. Vegas was hanging on to that third spot in the Pacific, but they didn't play last night. You have Los Angeles and Nashville both in the first and second wildcard spots in the Western Conference. Both of them get 1 point, and the Kings do jump over Vegas to get into that third spot in the Pacific. That's just based on winning percentage. You're still tied in points. All Kings, Vegas, Nashville all have 73 points. And if Nashville wins that game, you jump over Vegas, and you have that first wild card spot. Now, we've talked about this before. I don't know how much that matters in the West. You're facing a juggernaut in that first round either way, but every point matters. Then, to wrap up this point of mine, you have the St. Louis Blues, who jump up to a 2-0 win over the 2-0 lead over the Islanders within 10 minutes of the first period last night. And you have 67 points going into last night. You are now 6 points back. You were 5 points. You are now 6 points back of the Predators and Vegas in those wildcard spots. If you win that game, you're still back, but you're 4 points back. Now you're 6. That's a full game. You have played the same amount of games as Vegas, and you have one less game played than Nashville. So still one game in hand, but you're up 2-0 against the Islanders. I know it's the second night of a back-to-back, but you got to find a way to get those 2 points. So for me, just a whole bunch of missed opportunities in the NHL last night.
Yeah. You brought up a lot of great points. The Central by far, at least on paper, maybe not with Edmonton in the mix anymore. The Pacific kind of winning that's pretty important, even though the Canucks seem to have that wrapped up. Winning the Central is definitely like the most important division race in the NHL, you would think at this point, because the Stars, the Jets, the Avalanche, all like legit cup contenders. So excellent point on that. Definitely agree with that. It just feels like for a lot of these fringe spots, like these last few spots, nobody wants it. That's what it feels like. And I know that's not true, obviously, but just nobody's taking advantage of the opportunities. Nobody's grasping anything. And maybe that's why they're fighting for wildcard spots in the hope of third in the division, not fighting for second and first. But it just seems like one step forward, 3 steps back for a lot of these teams. Consistently.
You're 100% right. And I mean, I feel like we both think, especially in the West, like these are probably the teams that we're going to see in the playoffs long term. But I mean, listen, man, Like Nashville, they're on an absolute heater. I know that they lose last night. They still get 1 point. But the Kings are still very capable of going on another downhill turn, right? Like the Kings are not by far and away a lock to make it in. Vegas is on a downhill turn of their own right now. If you're the Blues, you got to keep winning games because you don't know what the Kings and Vegas and even Nashville, like they're very capable of losing a bunch of games here coming up. So if you're St. Louis, you got to keep winning games. Before we move on to our bad beats, and there was plenty of bad beats. It turns out, Andre, that we need John. I never thought that I would hear myself say that, but it turns out that we need him because it has been a tough start to the week, but that's okay. It's a new day. The sun is up. I mean, it's hiding behind clouds here in the Toronto area, but it's still up and it's a new day for us to bounce back. Before we move on to the bad beats, last night there was a trade. The Vegas Golden Knights acquired forward Anthony Mantha from the Washington Capitals for a 2nd-round pick in this year's draft and a 4th-round pick in the 2026 draft. I mean, it has good potential. I think Mantha is pretty typical when you're talking about a player like him, not really reaching his full potential. Definitely not having a great year this year, but hey, it's worth it to me to add some depth to that forward roster. I don't know if you have any crazy thoughts on this. I don't think Anthony Mantha is a popular name. I don't know how groundbreaking this is, but Vegas bolstering up their forwards heading into the playoffs here. I don't know. Do you have any crazy takes on this?
I mean, no. Anthony Mantha, solid two-way player. 34 points, 56 games is kind of trending towards one of his better seasons. If not, he could easily finish with his best season as a pro if you're just counting points. But yeah, nothing groundbreaking. Good depth addition. He was liked by Capitals fans. I think it's a good move for Vegas to help them out. And I guess Washington realizes what we've been thinking this whole time, and it's that they're not a good team. Even though they don't know they're going to win the cup this year. Like they need to pay attention to what they're doing.
Well, and I think if you're Washington, like no disrespect to Anthony Mantha, but you trade a guy like Mantha, you get a couple draft picks out of it, and like for a 2nd and a 4th, that's pretty good for Mantha. Once again, no disrespect to the guy, but that's pretty good. And you're trading somebody who, like, you if you miss the playoffs, it's not going to be because you traded Anthony Mantha. You know what I mean? Like, again, it feels like I'm like dumping on the guy, and I don't mean to. I'm just saying, like, if you're Washington, you're probably, if you miss the playoffs, you're going to miss the playoffs regardless. So you might as well trade him, get some draft capital back, and kind of see what happens heading into the final stretch of the season. All right, man, let's get into it. Get this out of the way. Bad beats from last night. I'll go first. I picked the Blues to beat the Islanders. They were plus 150 by puck drop, and I thought that was outrageous. Jumped on the Blues. They're up 2-0, like I said, within 10 minutes of the first period, and they lose 4-2. Also, picked the Jets to beat the Kraken. Just money line, nothing crazy. Jets up 3-2 heading into the final stretch of the third period. They not only let the game get tied up, but they also let the game slip away entirely, losing 4-3. I also picked the Canucks to get the -1.5 over the Kings. They win. Only reason why I'm adding that into the bad beats is because the odds were more than good enough to pick them on the money line. For them to win by -1.5 was like +220 or something like that. If I remember, I know it was in the 200s. I can't remember. I think it was +220 for them to win by 2 or more goals. And I got greedy, man. There was no need to go that route. It was excellent odds for them just to win the game straight up. That's why I'm including that in my bad beat because, like I said, I did not need to go that route. I think they were like -112 or something to win the game, which is more than good enough. And I just got greedy, man. So that's my bad beats. There's a million. I mean, it like is what it is. You're gonna get nothing but honesty on Pucks Across Borders. What about you, man? What's your bad beat? And I don't know if this is the one that you're gonna choose or not. But if it's not, also add in how our parlay was alive and died within like 90 seconds. Our best bet parlay last night.
Yeah. The best bets, what were 1 for 4 so far this week. And yesterday's was, I mean, we went from a potential 2 for 2 to nothing very quickly. Let's go back to the second period though. Midway through, Predators up 2-0 on home ice against the Canadians. What, the 8-game winning streak? 4+ goals in each game. I think they only allowed 3 in one. Every other game was 2 or fewer. So they're up 2-0. 4-minute power play, up 21-11 on shots, home ice, in cruise control. Second period ends. Shots are tied up 21-21. Canadians tied the score 2-2. Starting to sweat a little bit. That lead is gone. But it's still the third period. This is still a team on a heater. You expect them to show out for their home crowd in the third period against the Canadians, keep the streak alive. And they do. They take the lead in the third, 3-2. Good goal by Montreal. I think it was Waugh that scored that one. Ties it up. Whatever. There's still time. And once you know it, McCarron, it was a pass. It was Yossi to, I forget who, shoots it towards the net. McCarron knocks it in off the rebound. Predators go up 4-3. 3 minutes left. You're thinking, okay, empty net situation. We got the Yossi assist. Like, one's down. We're about to get the puck line, maybe, if they can just get one good defensive stop, get possession. And we're cruising, Good parlay. 2 best bets were 3 or 4 for the week to start the week. But Marty St. Louis, cursed him in his incredible eye. Loved him as a Ranger, loved him as a player. Challenges it for a high stick, and sure enough, it hits me. The defenseman for Montreal tried to bat it out the air, missed. It hits McCarron's stick, gets played as a high stick right before he gets it on the ice and shoots it in. So goal's gone. Yossi assist is gone. 3 minutes left, tie game. Puck line, not a chance. Yossi assist still has a chance, not looking good. Then they take a penalty right before regulation ends. So Yossi's not on the ice to start overtime because the penalty kill is out, the 4-on-3. And before they can get a stoppage, was it Caulfield finds the back of the net on the 4-on-4, ices the game. We got nothing. We were 3 minutes away from getting something. So for both of us, for the entire show, that is the bad beat. Honorable mention to the Sharks because I picked them money line. They went up 2-0 early. Anthony Duclair also, beautiful goal, beautiful assist on the second one. Love Duke, miss him. But they went up 2-0. Stars tied it. It was 3-3. And then the Sharks took control again. They went up 6-3. There was less than 10 minutes left. You're thinking, wow, the Sharks are going to win against a really good team. They're going to finish it, unlike the game in Dallas. But they didn't. What's his name? I forgot his name. I don't want to call him what's his name because he did have a hat trick last night. But
was it Johnson? Johnson?
Oh, it was Wyatt Johnson. It was Wyatt Johnson. Gets the hat trick. Game goes to overtime at 6 because the Sharks allowed 3 goals in 5 minutes, and then the Stars won in OT, 7-6. Wild game in the tank, and unfortunately a bad beat.
And shout out to Wyatt Johnson, 5 points last night. You know what's funny, dude, is like it's a bad beat. Like if you bet on San Jose against Dallas and they lose, you're like, okay, yeah. It was in the plus 300s for a reason, right? Like it's like that for a reason. But when they're up 6-3 with 10 minutes left, that's tough. Because that's one of those ones too where you're looking at your bet slip and you're like, okay, I'm gonna win this much. And then you're doing the like gambling math in your head. That's a tough one, man. For that one to excellent job describing our collective bad beat in the Nashville game. And yeah, my heart goes out to you, man. That's a tough one. When you gamble on San Jose, you know what you're signing up for, but you're not signing up for that. That's tough, dude. That's tough.
Yeah, getting them to a 3-goal lead is a win in itself. If anyone bet San Jose because I took the Sharks money line yesterday, like if anyone tailed me, I really hope you cashed out. And if you didn't, I apologize.
Yeah, but that's one of those ones. Like for me, if I made that bet and they're up 4-3 in the third period, I'm cashing out. Like if they're up 4-3 against Dallas with 10 minutes left, I'm cashing out. Like they're up 4-3, they're playing Dallas. Like I'm taking my money and I'm running. But if they're up 6-3, I'm letting it go, man. I'm 100% letting it go and getting burned in the meantime. All right, let's move on to 3 games in the NHL tonight. If you are in the United States of America, an excellent doubleheader on TNT tonight. And if you are in Canada, you'll still be able to watch these games, just not on TNT. Actually, the Detroit-Colorado game will get the TNT feed, but Buffalo and Toronto, which is the first game, will not be. And let's just be real about this. Anytime Toronto plays, it's always a national game. Because why? We're the center of the universe. What's that?
I said it's Canada's team. I should have said the universe's team. It's my bad.
It's the universe's team. Yeah, close. All right, Buffalo on the road in Toronto. The Maple Leafs are minus 192 favorites at home. Buffalo was plus 160 on the road. Over is 6.5 at minus 108, and the under is minus 112. Buffalo is plus 1.5 on the puck line, minus 155. Minus 1.5 for the Toronto puck line is plus 130. Buffalo 6-4-1 in their last 10 games. The only real thing I have to say about this Buffalo team is 7 of those 10 are under 6.5. So for whatever that's worth to you, you can, I don't know, write that down before you make your bets tonight. But 7 of the last 10. And listen, 6-4-1, it's not like blowing you away, but this Buffalo team's been playing pretty good lately, man. We've been talking about this. People look at Toronto, see minus 192, think they're a lock. Let's not forget, Buffalo beat this team 9-4 earlier in the year. I know it was way earlier in the year, but Buffalo gives the Leafs trouble. That's just the way it's been forever. It's the way that it's been this year. Leafs 8-2 in their last 10 games, 18-6-6 on the road. 11 of their last 13 games, they have scored 3+ goals. 10 of their last 13 games, they have scored 4+ goals. The way I look at this, Toronto's been playing the best hockey of their season in the last month, and maybe the best hockey that they've played in the last few years. Tough loss at home to Vegas last week. Tough loss to Boston a couple nights ago at home as well. I think this is a perfect bounce back spot for Toronto. I typically Buffalo in Toronto, middle of the week. I would probably lean Buffalo here, but as somebody who watches the Toronto Maple Leafs every single night, I just think this is a perfect bounce back spot for them. The only two losses that they have had in the last 10 games. I know that we've been talking about Vegas and the hard times that they've been under, but they're still the defending champs. And Boston's still Boston. No matter how many times they go to overtime, Boston's still Boston. And that game against Boston, man, like Boston was coming off one of the worst losses of the year on the weekend. And the loss against Vegas was on a really, really bad downhill turn, and they lost to Toronto 7-3 the week before. So both teams coming to Toronto with a purpose. I like the Leafs tonight, -1.5 at +130. I think they bounce back. Lots of mental mistakes in that game the other night. I think they cleaned them up. On the prop side of things, Austin Matthews. Haven't said this too often this year, but Austin Matthews, 1 goal in his last 5 games. He is -120 tonight to score, but I like it. I think he comes out and gets at least 1 goal tonight at -120. William Nylander. Now, he only has 2 goals in his last 5 games. He is +155 to score tonight. The bigger reason why I like him to score tonight is if you have watched this team at all over the last 3-4 games, Willie hasn't looked great. He's flying around, playing hard, but just making some dumb plays and not playing to the best of his ability, for sure, to say the least. And the coach has been outspoken about it. He was benched in the third period of that game against the Rangers on Saturday. And the coach said straight up, like Sheldon Keefe said, he's not playing within our system. And if he does that, he's going to get benched. And so I think he balls out tonight as well. So William Nylander +155 to get a goal tonight as well. Austin Matthews, he has 19 shots in his last 5 games. Averaging just below 4 shots a game. For him to get over 4.5 is +120. But for him to get, +120, 4+ is a lot of juice. So for Austin Matthews to get over 4.5 shots is +120. For Nylander, 18 shots in his last 5 games. For him to get over 3.5 is +105. So on the shot prop market, I actually do like Willie over 3.5 +105 a lot. And I don't love taking multiple players on the shot prop just because, if one guy is going to get 5+ shots, that's taking shots away from somebody else, obviously. But for Matthews and Nylander to both get 4+, 5+ shots, that's not out of the realm of possibility at all for these two players. So I like it. Maple Leafs -1.5. Austin Matthews and Willie both to get their shot totals. And why not sprinkle on them to score a little bit as well? So a bit long-winded, but that's my take on the Leaf game tonight. What about you, man? What do you see here?
Yeah, Buffalo's playing well. If you add, I know you said their last 10, if you add the game before that, stretched to 11, the 7-0 win against the Kings, they're playing tremendously. They beat the Kings, it's a playoff team. They beat the Canes, it's a playoff team. They beat the Lightning, they beat Vegas, that's a playoff team. Those are playoff teams. They were up 2-1 going into the third against Winnipeg. Obviously, the third period Jets leave everyone in the dust, but they were up in that one too after 40 minutes. So, take away the second Panthers game, they lost 3-2. That's a competitive loss. Really, you take away the 4-0 loss early in the stretch. The Sabres are playing really good hockey. Toronto's playing better. Only 2 duds in their last 11, and they were both the playoff teams. And, it happens. But the thing with those 2 losses, they didn't score. All the wins during this 11-game stretch of theirs, 4+ goals. When Buffalo has lost during this stretch, is because they've given up 4+ goals. I see Toronto offense staying hot, lighting the lamp a lot. The issue is that Buffalo has 15 goals in 2 games against the Leafs this year. And
yeah, great point.
I mean, there's just, I don't, on the one hand, you don't expect that to continue. On the other hand, they clearly have something on this Leafs team. I know the Leafs are playing better. Like, this is a different look, top to bottom, but that's a lot. That's hard to overlook. So I think I'm going to avoid a side here. I think I'm going to roll with the over 6.5 more than anything, expecting both sides to score at least 4 goals. I think it's going to be a wild one, honestly. And my favorite prop from this game, I don't think you're going to like it. Jeff Skinner, anytime goal scorer at plus 230. He has 3 goals between the 2 games against the Leafs this year. He is Buffalo's leading goal scorer, or he's tied with JJ Peterka with 20 goals this year. And he's, 3 goals in 2 games against his team, 2 in the most recent meeting, 1 in the first one in Toronto. I believe that was the one in Toronto. I just think at plus 230, that's excellent odds. He's not even the top odds on his team, which I thought was kind of interesting. He did score against Vegas on Saturday. Kind of a slow February, but he knows how to find the back of the net, and he's done it against Toronto. So I would roll with Skinner to keep it going because we've seen it before.
You know what, man? I'm not mad at it. Jeff Skinner, terrific junior player for Team Canada. He's a guy that I always root for. He's had a phenomenal career. It's been a tough time since moving to Buffalo. It's been tough. And did you know, I am like 99% sure of this, he has never been in the playoffs, which is crazy. He played with Carolina for a long time. When they traded him is when they started going to the playoffs every year, and he has not been to the playoffs with Buffalo. I could be wrong about that. Fact check me, but I am almost positive that Jeff Skinner has never been to the playoffs, which is crazy because he has had a remarkable career. And that's a really fun summer conversation of what incredible players, or at least very good players, have never been to the postseason. That's crazy to me, but
I think you're spot on. He was on the Canes during the entirety. He pretty much was on the team for the entire drought. He missed the first year of their playoff drought, like the 2009-2010 season. But then he was there until 17-18, which was the last year of it. Then he went to Buffalo, and Buffalo didn't make the COVID qualifier play-in or whatever, so they definitely haven't made the playoffs.
Yeah. And I don't think the Canes have missed since he got traded. I think they've been in every single year. It's like, oh man, that's tough, dude. Because he's been a really good player. He's had a down couple years here, but his career as a whole has been very good. Always a soft spot in my heart for Jeff Skinner. Like I said, some excellent World Junior teams that he was on back in the day. All right, moving on to the second game of the TNT doubleheader. I'm really looking forward to both these games tonight. I think this game is more compelling just from both sides. But like we talked about, Buffalo's been playing really well as well. So I think both of these games are going to be really, really good. Detroit in Colorado. Detroit is plus 170 on the road, which I think is too much. I think that's too much. That's just my opinion. Colorado minus 205 at home. Minus 1.5 for the Avalanche is plus 120. Plus 1.5 for the Red Wings is minus 142. The over is 6.5 at minus 115. And the under is minus 105. Andre, what do you think about this game, man? Really, really good 2-pack here in the NHL tonight.
100%. Entertaining games, rivalries to a certain extent, at least with these two. Maybe not what they used to be, but nonetheless, it's gonna get people reminiscent. This game, I agree with you. I like Colorado in this spot. I think they're gonna win. I'm gonna take them -1.5, but I think that they're favored a little too much. I understand that Larkin is out. I understand that the Red Wings have lost 2 in a row. Got shut out in Sunrise on Saturday. Gave up 9 goals between the losses. And like most teams, they're worse on the road. But I think they're a little tighter than this. This seems like a little bit disrespectful for a team that's probably going to be in the playoffs. This seems a little disrespectful for a team that only a few weeks ago beat the Avalanche 2-1. So I don't really know what's going on here. Again, I'm taking Colorado -1.5 because I understand how hard it is to win, to not even just win, but keep up with Avalanche in Denver. I understand that Larkin's out. This Avalanche team is playing better hockey than Detroit right now. The offense, minus the Nashville game, has been 5 goals, 5 goals, 5 goals, 3 goals against your boys. Really good performances since that Leaf game. And they have the best home record in the NHL. So I'm rolling with them. -1.5. I'm rolling with the over. These are obviously 2 of the best offenses in the league. No slouches defensively, but I don't see another 2-1 game not to keep up. All that's to say, I think Detroit's tighter than +170. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I do think Dylan Larkin not being in the lineup is huge for Detroit. Obviously, that goes without being said. Not just tonight, but if he's out for a couple weeks, like they're gonna have to really, really dig down deep. He's the straw that stirs the drink there in Detroit, and so I'm gonna be really interested to see how they react to this over the next few weeks. I think I'm right there with you. I like Colorado -1.5. I don't love it. I do think that this Detroit team can keep up even without Dylan Larkin. But I'm right there with you. At home, this Avalanche team is just a different team. They're a better team. Best home record in the NHL. More than a side, though, I really like a couple props in this game. I'll take Colorado -1.5, but like I said, I don't love it. I do think it's the best value for what we're looking at here. What I will say from a goal scoring side of things, Nathan McKinnon, I mean, this one's obvious. If you watch the NHL at all, even a casual fan, you know where I'm going with this one. 5 goals, 12 points in his last 5 games, 22 shots over that span as well. He is -130 to get a goal tonight, and there's a reason for that. He scores every single night, and so I know you're paying juice. It's a bit expensive, but I like the -130. On the Detroit side of things, Alex DeBrincat, really strong start to the season, really quiet middle parts of the season, but over the last week or two has been sneaky good, getting back to his ways. He has 4 goals in his last 5 games, and without Larkin in the lineup, DeBrincat and Patrick Kane both are going to have to fill that void. And so DeBrincat +170 to get a goal tonight. Patrick Kane, 3 goals in his last 5 games. He is +175. On the shot side of things, Alex DeBrincat not shooting the puck a ton right now. However, over 2.5 shots is -130 for him. So just to get 3 is -130. I really like that for him tonight. Patrick Kane also not shooting a ton, over 2.5. It's -140. I know that's a lot of juice, but I do like it. Nathan McKinnon, 22 shots in his last 5 games, just under 5 shots a game. Over 4.5. Again, juice, but minus 125. So specifically DeBrincat over 2.5 and McKinnon over 4.5 at minus 130 and minus 125 respectively. I like those props, but more on the goal scoring side. DeBrincat plus 170 and McKinnon minus 130. As a total, I don't know. Like that game, that last time they played, that was a really tight defensive game. It was like 2-1, if I remember correctly. Was it not 2-1?
In overtime.
Yeah. So like my first reaction is over by a mile, but the more I think about it, the more I'm kind of scared off by that total. I think I would lean over, but I wouldn't jump on it too quickly. All right. Moving on to the last game of the night. You got Buffalo, Toronto, Detroit, Colorado. Not the most exciting way to wrap up a Wednesday night, but it's still hockey. You can throw on the third period when the Detroit, Colorado game is done. Ottawa is in Anaheim. Anaheim are plus 130 underdogs at home. Ottawa minus 155 on the road. The over is 6.5 at minus 125, and the under is plus 105. Ottawa minus 1.5 is plus 150. Anaheim plus 1.5 is minus 180. We'll go right back to you here, man. What do you see in this game tonight?
I see a lot of goals to cap off the night. I know Anaheim only scored one against the Canucks on Sunday, but against the weaker goaltending teams, they've shown that they can score recently. They put up 4 against the Devils, 6 against the Sharks, 4 against the Jackets. 4 against Buffalo. Buffalo's a solid goaltending team. They put up 4 against them. 5 in Ottawa, the day after Valentine's Day. So, this Ducks team, not the best, 29th in goals per game. They can score when given a weak opponent. And at least when it comes to stopping pucks and playing strong defense, the Senators qualify for that. So definitely taking the over 6.5 on this one. It has actually worse odds. It's minus 125 than the Red Wings Avalanche game. Surprised me a little when I saw that this morning. But I like over 3.5 goals for the Ducks as a team. That's plus 145. I like the Ducks money line. I like them to beat the Senators team again. The Senators don't travel well. I don't think I need to say much more than that. They're 8-17-1, 8-18, since you hate the overtime loss being differentiated, minus 17 goal differential on the road this season. Just worse in almost every way. Senators have a 4-game losing streak. None of those games were within 1 goal. One was against the Coyotes, who were on I don't even know how long that losing streak was. I can't count that high. The other 3 losses were on the road. It's just not a fun time to be an Ottawa fan again. So I'm taking the Ducks money line. I'm taking the over 6.5. I like the Ducks over 3.5 goals at plus money.
Listen, I know that the odds makers don't come up with these numbers out of thin air. Okay. I know that math plays a major role. I know, winning percentage, probability, and all this stuff. The fact that Ottawa is minus 155 just from watching hockey every single night is crazy to me. Like, I know that the Ducks are not a good team. What's Ottawa? Is Ottawa a good team? Minus 155? I think this is the Ducks money line all day long. Maybe it's one of those picks that's so obvious that you should stay away. I'm not going to. I'm right there with you. Anaheim plus 130. Ottawa, if you've watched this show for any length of time, you know that I had high hopes for Ottawa this year. I really like this roster as constructed on paper, but when they play the game on the ice, it's a disaster. And it starts with the goal. I don't know if it ends with the goaltending because a lot of it's a disaster, but the goaltending's been horrific all year long. Getting Korpisalo, hoping for a bounce back year for him, and it just has not been that. Listen, Ottawa 3-6-1 their last 10 games. The last 4 games they have lost in a row, they have allowed 4 goals, 5 goals, 4 goals, and 6 goals. The Ducks, the 22 games that the Ducks have won this year, only 4 of those wins have been scoring 3 goals or less. Every time the Ducks win, they win by scoring 4 goals or more. And Ottawa has done nothing but give up 4 goals or more in the last week and a half. So I'm taking the Ducks here plus 130. I love the over as well. I'm right there with you. On the Ducks side of things, a pretty safe bet if you're looking at goal scoring props. You want to add one to a little goal scoring lotto parlay or something crazy like that. Vetrano, 3 goals in his last 5 games. He is plus 180. I really like him to score. I feel like every time I don't bet Vetrano to score, he scores. So plus 180 for him to score tonight. I love it, and I like the Ducks plus 132, man. I are plus 130 as well. I'm right there with you. A fun little thing I was thinking about listening to you talk there. I can't remember what you said about the totals in the other 2 games, but if I'm gonna do a little over parlay tonight, all 3 of these games are over 6.5, and the over is very doable in all 3 of these games. Plus 548 for a little over parlay in the 3 games tonight. So, hey, plus 548. You don't want to cheer for a side, cheer for some goals. What's better than that on a Wednesday night in the NHL? All right.
Wholeheartedly agree with that. Also, shout out. I'm glad you brought up Frankie V, because I was looking at him, thinking about him. 3 goals in his last 3 games, 2 against the Devils, 1 against the Sharks. Scored against the Senators last month. Again, I talked about them scoring 4 Ducks scoring 4+ goals against these bad goaltending teams. In pretty much all those games he scored except Columbus. He had 2 against Buffalo as well. So just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, absolutely love it. He's a rock star. I there's been rumors of him being traded by the deadline. I would be pretty shocked if they moved on from him. I think there's enough pieces in Anaheim that you think you can be competitive in the somewhat near future. That's just my opinion. But all right, let's move on, man. Best bets brought to you by none other than First Round Collectibles. Right now, with the promo code Sports Addict, you get 10% off whatever sports card your heart desires. Hockey, basketball, football, baseball, wrestling, boxing. It doesn't matter. It's there at firstroundcollectibles.com with the promo code Sports Addict, 10% off. They still have items on sale up to 50% off. And with our promo code, not only do you get 10% off of regular priced items, but sale priced items as well. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com and find your heroes. The number 1 STRoundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans. Speaking of sports fans, Andre, what is your best bet for this Wednesday night in the NHL?
I think it's a little presumptuous to assume I'm a sports fan, but
it's just a job.
I'm going to go back strictly for work. Going back to the last game here, we're going to head to Orange County. We're going to head to the glorified suburbs, as John so elegantly put it when describing Anaheim.
Yeah,
I like the Ducks over 3.5 goals here. We're going to get a little weird again. Plus 145, great odds. They scored 5 against this team in Ottawa. Looking at the Senators on the road, 8-18, 97 goals allowed in 26 games. PK drops to 71.4%. Their PK for the season is 31st. So, the fact that they drop off that noticeably on the road, kind of telling. Probably the reason they are 31st, but there's no need to get into cause and all that jazz right now. Anyway, save percentage, home or away for the Senators is 880. Not a team getting stops, period. they allow more than 3.5 goals per game. They've allowed 4+ during all 4 games of this losing streak, 19 in total. Not trusting them here, especially since 3 of those games were on the road. 3 of those games were against teams that don't really score. The Flyers, the Yotes, the Capitals. Give me Ducks plus over 3.5 goals, plus 145.
I love it. Not even taking the money line. Let's go higher. I absolutely love it. For mine, I'm gonna go back to the first game. I don't love taking Leaf props on our best bets just because it's my team and you never know. Is it the head? Is it the heart? Who knows what it is? But I'll tell you what, the only time that I took the Leafs in a best bet, it hit. I'm not going to take the best, like the Leafs as a side, as a best bet, but I am going to go back to a prop that I mentioned earlier. William Nylander has 18 shots in his last 5 games, averaging just below 4 shots a game. In his last few starts, he had 3 shots against Boston, 4 shots against the Rangers, 3 shots, 5 shots, 2 shots, 7 shots, bunch of 3s, bunch of 4s. As I said, he has not played well over the last little bit. Called out by his coach after being benched on Hockey Night in Canada against the New York Rangers. I love him getting over 3.5 shots tonight. And you're going to hear, you just said he's not playing well. All those shots, 3 shots, 4 shots. Listen, 33 goals, 50 assists, 83 points on the year. William Nylander is a rock star. He's a very, very good player. This is not, I'm not picking some Joe Schmo to get over 3.5 shots. Anytime, and the Toronto guys, we know this, anytime he gets called out by his coach, he responds. And I believe he is going to respond tonight. Over 3.5 shots for Nylander is not a crazy thing by any means. He is plus 105 for him to get over 3.5 shots. I love a bounce back night for William Nylander. Over 3.5 shots, plus 105.
I like that one. Nice presentation.
Thank you.
Looking at Willie, like you just said, over 3.5 shots, plus 105. For the Anaheim Ducks, over 3.5 goals scored, plus 145. The number 4 will be your friends tonight.
Love it.
The parlay, that 2-legger is plus 402.
Plus 402. That's pretty good odds, man. You got
so
the
Nylander and the Ducks. Just counting to 4. That's all you need.
Absolutely. Love it. And you know what? You get that win early in the night. Catch the rest of the Detroit-Colorado game, and then flip on over and watch that parlay hit with Ottawa playing the Ducks later on tonight. And who knows? Maybe John will be there. We got a nice picture of the Honda Center last night. Maybe he'll feel a little Ottawa Ducks action on a Wednesday night. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Whether you're watching on Sports Addict Live, Total Apex Sports, shout out to them. Thank you for having us. Shout out to First Round Collectibles. 10% off with the promo code Sports Addict. Good luck on your bets, and we'll see you tomorrow.